When your cat crosses a room, settles beside you, and holds their gaze on your face for a moment longer than seems necessary, do you actually know what they just told you? Most owners don't. That's not a failing on your part, because the message arrived in a language that makes almost no sound at all. For years, the odds are, you've been reading your cat's stillness as blankness, a tail that lifts and curves, a pair of eyes that narrow slowly from across the couch, that particular way they pour themselves onto your lap and go quiet. None of it is random. Each one is a word in a vocabulary your cat has been speaking since the day the two of you met, and most people spend an entire lifetime translating it backward. I'm Dr. Andrew Collins, and I've built my career on what cats are saying when they aren't making a sound. 2 decades of clinic work sit behind that sentence. Thousands of cats, and the same quiet realization surfacing again and again. The loudest things a cat ever tells you are the ones your ears can't catch. Today, I'm handing you the translation key. By the time we're finished, you'll read your cat's body the way I read it across an exam table, and I promise you won't quite see your little one the same way again. Let me be honest with you before we take a single step further. One of the signals coming up looks exactly like contentment. It looks like your cat is softening, settling, trusting you completely. In the majority of homes, that's precisely what it is. But there exists a version of that same shape that is a genuine medical red flag, and it slips past attentive, devoted owners every single day of the year. We'll arrive there together. I want you holding the earlier pieces first, because those are what teach your eye to spot the difference when it matters most. So let's open the dictionary. Shape by shape, let's start decoding what your cat has been telling you all along. Consider the first entry, the one I've come to call the slow fold. You've witnessed it 100 times without ever giving it a name. Your cat stands near you and then, without any hurry at all, they lower themselves down, tucking their front paws beneath the chest until the whole body seems to sink an inch closer to the floor. It's a settling motion, deliberate, unrushed. Watch the speed of it, because the speed is the entire message. A cat that drops fast is bracing against something. A cat that folds slowly is releasing. Translated into plain cat language, that unhurried descent is a statement about safety. Your little one is telling you, in the only grammar available to them, that nothing in the current room demands their readiness. Behavioral researchers at the University of Lincoln in the United Kingdom have spent years documenting how heavily cats regulate their conduct around perceived security, showing calmer, looser body patterns in the presence of a person they've genuinely bonded with. That slow fold beside you is your cat quietly casting a vote about who you are to them, and the vote is trust. How should you answer it? With almost nothing, and that's the part loving owners get wrong. The instinct is to reach out, to stroke, to reward the sweetness of the moment with a hand. Resist it. The slow fold is not a request for contact. It's a request for company. Let your cat fold. Let the quiet in the room stay quiet. If you feel the need to reply, reply in their own tongue. Soften your posture. Slow your own movements. Let your simple presence be the whole of your response. You'll be surprised how often your cat then holds their gaze on you a beat longer than before. A gentle word of caution belongs here before we move along. If your cat once folded near you and has lately begun folding away instead, in another room, behind the furniture, on the far cold edge of the bed, that shift is worth your attention. It isn't automatically trouble. Cats change their preferences the same way we do. But a genuine change in where a cat chooses to feel safe is a sentence worth reading carefully. Keep your eyes on your cat's face now, though, because the second signal lives entirely in the eyes. It's one of the most misread words in the whole language. Meet the second shape, the slow blink. Some of you have heard of this one already, and I'd still wager most of you have been reading it upside down. Picture the scene. Your cat looks at you from a few feet off, and their eyes drift half shut, then open, then fall closed again, heavy and unhurried, like someone dozing off in a sun-warmed chair. People assume the cat is simply sleepy. That assumption misses the entire point. Inside cat language, this gesture ranks among the most generous things your little one can offer. Direct, unbroken eye contact between 2 cats is a challenge, a hard and pointed question. Closing the eyes deliberately in front of you is the softest possible answer to a question you never realized you were being asked. Your cat is choosing to make themselves briefly defenseless, on purpose, in your company. A widely respected study out of the University of Sussex examined exactly this behavior and found that cats were significantly more likely to blink slowly back at a human who blinked slowly at them first, and more inclined to approach that person afterward. The gesture is a two-way conversation. Most owners simply never understood they were allowed to reply. Replying is easy once you know the grammar. Let your own face go soft, let your eyelids narrow and drop closed at a lazy pace, then open them again without locking into a stare. Don't lay it on thick. 1 or 2 exchanges form a complete sentence in this dialect, not a speech. I've watched cats who were deeply wary of a newcomer in the household begin, across a span of weeks to trade these blinks from opposite ends of a room, and it is very often the very first bridge that ever gets built between them. Skip this entirely, meet your cat's eyes with the flat, unblinking stare that comes naturally to humans, and you may be issuing a small daily challenge you never intended to send at all. The third posture is where the language turns physical, so keep watching closely. I've named this one the anchor. It happens when your cat presses some part of themselves against you and simply leaves it resting there. A warm flank laid along your leg, the top of a skull pushed gently into your open palm, a single paw settled on your forearm, not gripping, not kneading, only resting. Contact without an agenda. Weight without a demand. And it's easy to overlook precisely because it makes no drama of itself. The meaning underneath it is trust expressed as gravity. Cats mark the people and objects they've folded into their safe territory using scent glands along the cheeks, the flanks, and the base of the tail. When your cat anchors part of their body against yours, they're frequently laying down that private chemical signature, writing you into the map of everything that belongs to them and to their sense of home. The Cornell Feline Health Center has long emphasized how central scent and territory are to a cat's entire experience of security. The anchor, then, is your cat inking your name into their world using a pen you'll never see. Answering this one asks only that you stay still and allow it, and where the pressure seems to invite more, that you return slow, steady, deliberate contact, rather than the busy, fluttering pats so many of us default to. Long, unhurried strokes that follow the natural lie of the fur, traveling from the cheek back toward the shoulder, register in your cat's body as the sensation of being groomed by a trusted friend. Sometimes, a low vibration will start up beneath your hand, that soft idling engine of a purr, and there's your confirmation that the translation landed. Here, caution matters as much as it did before. Not every lean is affection. A cat that presses in heavily and constantly, that seems to require the contact merely to stay upright, that pushes its head into walls or table legs rather than into you, is doing something altogether different, and that behavior warrants a prompt call to your veterinarian. Affectionate anchoring stays relaxed and optional. A cat that must lean is trying to tell you something has gone wrong inside. Hold on to that split, comfortable weight versus needful weight, because it's a quiet preview of the twist still waiting at the end of this video. Before we go any deeper, I genuinely want to hear from you. Of the three shapes we've decoded so far, the slow fold, the slow blink, and the anchor, which single one does your cat reach for the most? Drop it in the comments below. I read them, and there's a surprising amount you can learn about your own individual cat just from noticing which word they lean on hardest. Once you've left that, stay right here with me, because the next posture is the one people find the most beautiful, and the one arriving directly after it is the one I need you to take completely seriously. Turn your attention now to the fourth shape, the exposed belly. Your cat rolls, stretches long, and there it is, that soft, pale underside tipped up toward the ceiling, paws loose and floating in the air. Nearly everyone misreads this gesture in exactly the same way, and the misreading tends to end with a hand striped in fresh scratches. Read it correctly, and the meaning changes completely. A cat's belly is the single most vulnerable stretch of real estate on the entire body. Every vital organ sits just beneath that thin veil of fur. So when your cat rolls it upward toward you, they are not, in the vast majority of cases, requesting that you touch it. They're telling you they feel safe enough to expose it at all. It's a declaration of trust, never an invitation to rub. Think of that upturned belly as a sentence that closes with a firm period, not one that trails off into a question mark. Meeting this moment well means receiving it rather than reaching into it. Acknowledge the gift with your voice or with one of those slow blinks you just learned, and let the belly go untouched. A minority of cats, it's true, honestly do relish belly contact, and you'll recognize them easily because they'll hook your hand back toward them the instant you stop. For most, though, that bared belly is a compliment paid to you, and grabbing at it teaches your cat a bitter lesson. That vulnerability shown around you gets answered with an ambush. Break that trust often enough, and the rolls simply stop coming. It's a small, avoidable heartbreak, and you sidestep it entirely just by learning to respect the punctuation. Keep your eye on the tail as your cat walks toward you next, because the fifth signal is written there in motion. The fifth shape carries the name tail. Your cat approaches, and the tail rises straight upward with a soft little hook curling over at the very tip, sketching the top of a question mark into the air as they come. This is among the clearest, happiest, least complicated words in the whole feline vocabulary, and it is aimed like an arrow straight at you. Its meaning is nothing more tangled than pure gladness at your presence. Pathologists studying domestic cat communication, including researchers connected to work at Paris-Nanterre and elsewhere in Europe, have identified the upright tail as one of the primary friendly greeting signals cats deploy, both toward one another and toward the humans they've come to trust. A tail carried high with that gentle curl is your cat walking toward you with open hands and nothing hidden. There's no ambivalence folded into it anywhere. It sits about as close to an unguarded, wholehearted hello as a cat will ever hand another living creature. Greeting them back is the whole of the correct response. A few soft words offered in a warm, low register, a hand lowered within reach so they can decide for themselves whether to bunt their cheek against your knuckles. An unhurried welcome that stays on their clock rather than yours. What you're trying hard to avoid is teaching your cat that a joyful greeting gets met with grabbing, scooping, or hoisting them off their feet. Keep the hello on their terms, and you'll be rewarded with far more of them. Notice the contrast, too, because a low tail, a tucked tail, or a tail that suddenly puffs into a bottle brush are entirely different words, and every one of them is asking you for space rather than closeness. Lean in now, because the sixth shape is the one this whole video has been quietly building toward, and it's the one that hides in the plainest sight imaginable. I call it the loaf, along with its dangerous twin. You already know the loaf on sight. Your cat sits with all four paws folded completely out of view beneath the body, tail wrapped snug against the side, looking for all the world like a fresh warm loaf of bread resting on the windowsill. In most homes, on most days, the loaf is exactly what it appears to be. A comfortable and contented cat conserving warmth, relaxed straight through. It's one of the coziest sights a home can offer. Yet here arrives the distinction I promised you way back at the very start, and I need it lodged firmly in your memory. There is a posture that looks almost identical to the comfortable loaf and means the precise opposite of comfort. Call it the hunched loaf. In the genuine relaxed version, the spine runs smooth. The head sits naturally atop the shoulders. The eyes soften, and the whole body looks poured into its place like water, finding its level. In the pain version, the cat is hunched instead, the back rounded up into an arch, the head carried low and pulled in tight toward the chest. The eyes squinted or half-lidded, not with contentment, but with the grip of tension. The paws are tucked, the tail is cinched close, and the cat holds unnervingly still, sometimes for a very long stretch, in a spot set slightly apart from the rest of the family. Why does this one shape cost cats so dearly across so many households? Because cats are extraordinary, almost unbelievable at concealing pain. It's an ancient inheritance from a time when looking sick meant looking edible. A cat that appears unwell reads to a predator like easy prey, so they mask their suffering until masking is no longer possible. That hunched, tucked, guarded stillness is one of the most common ways chronic pain or serious illness first shows its face, and because it mimics the cozy loaf so faithfully, tender and watchful owners walk straight past it, certain their cat is merely resting. Across my years in the clinic, I've had cats arrive already seriously unwell whose owners told me with total sincerity that their cat had simply seemed extra snuggly and quiet of late. Those owners weren't careless. They were reading a warning as a comfort, and the two look almost the same. So here is how to respond, and it's the single most important instruction in everything I'll say today. Study your cat's normal resting posture right now, this week, while they're well and thriving. Learn how a truly relaxed cat carries its body, the smoothness of the line, the softness in the face, the easy droop of the eyes. Then, should you ever catch the rounded back, the low head drawn inward, the tense squint, the deliberate choosing of a distant quiet corner, especially when it arrives alongside eating less, hiding more, or a slip in grooming, treat that combination as the alarm it truly is and reach out to your veterinarian. You will not be overreacting. You'll be performing the one task your cat cannot perform for themselves, which is saying out loud that something hurts. None of this, I should add plainly, replaces a proper hands-on veterinary examination. And I'd never want a video on a screen to stand in for your own vet who can physically examine your cat. Treat everything I've handed you today as the power to notice sooner. That's the real gift here. When something genuinely does shift, you'll catch it early enough that catching it still counts for something. Let's circle all the way back to where we began, to that cat crossing the room and holding your gaze a moment too long. You understand now that the pause was a slow blink, a small deliberate act of chosen defenselessness offered to you alone. You understand that the way they fold down beside you is a vote cast for safety, that the weight of them leaning in is your own name written into the world in scent, that the bared belly is a period rather than a question mark, and that the high curling tail is the purest hello your cat owns. Above everything else, you understand the difference between the loaf that means peace and the loaf that means pain, and that difference may one day matter more than any other sentence in this language. That silent tongue was never truly silent. It was only ever waiting for someone patient enough to learn it. Now that someone is you. If today reshaped the way you see your cat, do 2 quick things for me before you go. Leave a comment naming your cat's favorite posture, the one word they hand you most often, because I honestly love reading which sentence each cat speaks best. Then tap the like button, since a single tap helps this reach another owner who might be staring at a hunched loaf this very evening and mistaking it for a cozy one. Subscribe if you'd like to keep learning to read your cat alongside me, one shape at a time. And if there's someone in your life who adores their cat but might be missing the exact warning sign we uncovered together today, send this their way. It could very well be the thing that helps them catch it while catching it still matters. Take good care of your little one. They've been talking to you this whole time.